This video is for educational and informational purposes only. All information is based on public sources and news reports. This is not legal advice, not political advice, and does not create any attorney-client relationship. We have no intention to harm or defame any person or organization. Always verify facts from multiple official and reliable sources. Fair use applies to any clips shown. Hey everyone, can you believe the President of the United States started calling the Prime Minister of Canada governor on social media like it was some kind of joke while the two countries argued about tariffs, borders, and who really calls the shots up north? Guys, welcome back to American Politics Today. Today we are doing a full neutral deep dive into the very personal and very public back and forth between President Donald Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. We are going from the big speeches at Davos, to the annexation jokes, to the governor jabs, to Carney's calm but firm strategy of respect without being overly submissive. We will walk through the exact timeline, the words they actually used, how it all played out in public, and why this drama between our two closest neighbors actually matters for American jobs, prices, and our place in the world right now in 2026. Stick with me because this story shows how quickly things can get tense even between best friends, and by the end you will understand the full picture. Alright guys, let me take you back to the beginning so you see exactly how we got here. It is January 20th, 2026, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Prime Minister Mark Carney steps up and gives a speech that gets everyone talking. He talks about a rupture in the global order. He says the old rules that kept things stable for decades are breaking down. He never names President Trump, but he talks about great powers using tariffs and economic pressure as weapons. He says middle powers like Canada need to work together so they are not pushed around. The crowd gives him a standing ovation. The very next day, January 21st, President Trump takes the same stage. He does not hold back. He says Canada should be grateful because, in his words, Canada lives because of the United States. He tells Carney directly to remember that the next time he speaks, the room gets quiet. Reporters start typing fast. Within hours, the story is everywhere. But wait, the real twist comes now. A few days later, Trump starts posting on Truth Social calling Carney Governor of Canada. It is the same kind of nickname he used for Justin Trudeau before. Carney holds a press conference and says calmly, "I can handle it." He says the comments are just part of negotiations and he is not offended. That is the moment the drama turns personal. Fast forward to late January. Trump threatens 100% tariffs if Canada makes any big trade deal with China. Carney says Canada has no plans for that. Then in February, the two leaders talk on the phone. Reports say it is tense, but they keep talking. By March 2026, Carney is in Australia giving another speech. He is asked how he deals with Trump. He gives this perfect short answer: respect but not obsequiousness. That means show respect but do not bow down. He says dealing with Trump is not easy, but you can work through things in private. Now imagine this. Two leaders who are supposed to be best allies are trading public jabs while millions of Americans and Canadians cross the border every day for work, family, and shopping. That is how fast the relationship went from friendly to front-page drama in just a few weeks. The Davos speeches that started it all. Let me explain exactly what each man said so you can judge for yourself. Carney's speech on January 20th is careful and serious. He says the world is in a rupture, not a smooth change. He talks about superpowers using economic tools to pressure others. He calls on countries like Canada, Australia, Japan, and others to team up and protect their interests. He never attacks the United States. He just says the old system that worked for so long is under strain. Trump's speech the next day is classic Trump style. He praises America's strength and says allies need to remember who helps who. He points to Canada and says they get a lot from the United States and should show more gratitude. The contrast is huge. One speech is about changing global rules. The other is about America first and allies being grateful. Public sources like the World Economic Forum video, CBC, BBC, and the New York Times all have the full transcripts. No one disputes the words. The difference is how people heard them. Many Canadians felt Carney was standing up for his country. Many Americans felt Trump was just stating the obvious about trade and security. Here is the crazy part. Right after Trump's speech, he starts the governor posts. It is his way of saying Carney acts like he is in charge, but really Canada depends on the United States. Carney brushes it off in public, but everyone knows it stings a little. The annexation jokes and sovereignty threats. Now we get to the part that really got people talking. For years, Trump has made jokes about Canada becoming the 51st state. He brings it up when he talks about trade or security. In 2025 and early 2026, he repeats the line several times. He says it would be a wonderful marriage and Canada would benefit. He even posts maps, sometimes showing Canada under the American flag as a joke. Carney shuts it down every single time. He says Canada is not for sale. He says it will never happen. In one meeting, he tells Trump directly, never. Trump replies with a smile, never say never. It is half joke, half pressure. But for Canadians, it touches a nerve about sovereignty. They see their country as independent and they do not like the idea of anyone joking about taking it over. At the same time, Trump is threatening big tariffs. He says if Canada gets too close to China or does not help enough on the border and fentanyl, the tariffs could go to 100%. Carney responds by saying Canada will protect its interests and is already making new trade deals around the world. He calls the tariff threats a negotiating tactic, but he also says Canada will not be pushed around. You won't believe what happened next. Even though both men keep saying they want a good relationship, the jokes and threats keep coming. It is like two neighbors arguing over the fence while still borrowing each other's tools every weekend. Carney's respect but not obsequiousness strategy. Let's talk about how Carney is handling all of this, because his approach is different from what a lot of people expected. In March 2026, while he is in Australia, he sits down for a public talk. Someone asks him straight up how he deals with Trump. Carney thinks for a second and says two words: respect but not obsequiousness. What does that mean in simple words? It means show the president respect, be polite, listen, but do not suck up or give in on everything just to keep the peace. Carney explains that Trump is different in private. He says you can have real talks face to face, but he also says it is not easy and you have to choose your public words carefully so you can back them up later. Carney has stuck to this plan. When Trump calls him governor, Carney says I can handle it. When tariffs are threatened, Carney says Canada will respond, but he never attacks Trump personally. When the annexation jokes come, Carney calmly says never and moves on. It is a strategy of staying calm, staying firm, and keeping the door open for private talks. Many experts say this approach is smart because it avoids giving Trump new reasons to escalate while still protecting Canadian interests. It also plays well at home in Canada, where people want a leader who stands up without starting a bigger fight, the phone calls and private versus public drama. Behind the public jabs, there have been several phone calls between the two leaders. In late January, after Davos, they talk. Reports say it is direct. Carney tells Trump he meant every word of his speech. Trump pushes on trade and border issues. Later, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says Carney walked back some comments. Carney immediately says no, he stood firm. In February and March, more calls happen. They talk about the OSMCA review coming in July 2026. They talk about fentanyl and border security. Publicly, they keep the tone professional. Privately, according to people close to the talks, it is tough, but they keep communicating. This private versus public difference is classic. In diplomacy, Trump likes to say strong things in public to put pressure on. Carney likes to stay measured in public and save the real negotiations for private. It is two different styles clashing but still trying to get results. Imagine this: you are the leader of a country that sells hundreds of billions of dollars to your biggest neighbor every year. One wrong public word and prices go up for your people. So both men are walking a tightrope every day. How the drama affects everyday people on both sides. Let's bring this down to real life, because all the speeches and tweets affect regular families. The constant threats make companies nervous. Auto plants that build cars with parts from both countries sometimes delay new hires or add extra costs for backup plans. That can mean higher car prices for American buyers and fewer shifts for workers in Michigan and Ontario. Gas and energy are another big one. Canada sends a lot of oil south. When tariffs or threats appear, even if they do not fully hit energy, the uncertainty can push prices up a few cents at the pump. Groceries feel it too because fruits, vegetables, dairy, and meat cross the border both ways every day. Jobs are the biggest worry. The integrated North American economy supports millions of good jobs. When leaders argue in public, some companies pause investments until things calm down. That hesitation can mean slower growth and fewer opportunities. On the Canadian side, the worry is the same, but from the other direction. They depend even more on the American market. So when Trump talks about tariffs or jokes about the 51st state, it creates real fear for Canadian families too. The bigger picture and reactions from other countries. The world is watching this drama closely. Leaders in Europe, Australia, and Asia see how Canada is handling the pressure. Some quietly say Carney's calm but firm style is a good example for other countries dealing with big powers. Others still prefer the old close relationship with the United States and hope the two neighbors work it out fast. The upcoming USMCA review in July 2026 is the next big test. Both sides know they need a deal that works. The public jabs and private talks are all part of the bargaining before that review. What has changed and what has stayed the same? After all the speeches, jabs, and threats, the basic truth is still the same. The United States and Canada are each other's biggest trading partners. We share the longest border in the world. We cooperate on defense, intelligence, and countless other things every single day. The relationship has survived tough times before, and most experts think it will survive this one too. What has changed is that the disagreements are now very public. In the past, leaders kept arguments quiet. Now they happen on social media and on the world stage. That is new, and it makes everything feel more dramatic. Analysis section. So what does all this drama really mean for America, for regular people, and maybe for the 2026 midterms? Many experts believe public clashes like this are part of how big countries negotiate in a more competitive world. Some people think Trump's strong style keeps pressure on allies to be fair. Others think Carney's calm approach shows a smart way for smaller countries to protect themselves without making things worse. For everyday Americans, the relationship with Canada keeps prices lower on gas, cars, food, and many other things. When the drama heats up, even for a short time, it creates uncertainty that can raise costs a little. The same is true in Canada. Most analysts say both leaders know the costs of a real breakup are too high, so they will probably keep talking and find ways to work together even when they disagree in public. Big reveal time, guys. Here is the simple truth after everything we just walked through. The drama between President Trump and Prime Minister Carney started with speeches at Davos in January 2026, moved to Governor jabs on social media, included annexation jokes about Canada becoming the 51st state, and featured sovereignty threats tied to tariffs and trade. Carney responded with a steady strategy of respect but not obsequiousness, staying calm in public while standing firm on Canadian interests. The two men keep talking privately even when the public words get sharp. The deep economic ties between our countries have kept the worst impacts from hitting most families. But the uncertainty has still affected prices and jobs in small but real ways. The story shows that even the closest neighbors can have loud disagreements, but they also have every reason to keep the relationship strong. The question for all of us is how these public moments affect trust between the United States and Canada and whether they make future deals easier or harder. Do you think the back and forth between Trump and Carney will help or hurt American families in the long run, and will it affect the 2026 midterms? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one and love hearing what you think. If you learned something new today, smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe with the bell on so you never miss an update when big stories like this break down. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Stay informed and stay awesome.